Okay, I'm going to pass out some just wake-up exercises. This is actually from your review sheet. So we're going to start with a little bit of active stuff. So just grab your pencil and fill out the answers to these. So everybody should be able to do 25 through 30. Thank you. And then I haven't talked about 31 yet, so I'm just worried about 25 through 30 at this point in time. Okay? Everybody have one of these sheets? Okay? Let's do this. Let's put them up here. Okay? So we're all working on 25 through 30, the output for each of these. So pick up a sheet, an exercise sheet, and your name. And we're all answering 25 through 30. Pick up an exercise sheet as well, there on the near the names. But that's not the problem here. So right now, I mean, it doesn't have to be. So just execute it the way it is now. We could do an else. But right now, this is just a single else. Tell me what the output is, okay? So and then we'll run it, and we'll see if you got them right. What's the first? Grab one of these. We have goodbye, and then we have the brackets. I just got rid of those. So in the meantime, if you're finished, compare the answer with your neighbor and see if you've got the right. Okay, so has everybody had a chance to run 25 through, to look at 25 through 27? So we're entering two values, and we're going to enter 6 and 7. So let's run this, and let's see what the output is, and then let's talk about it, okay? Oh, shoot. Oh, let me fix it. Let me put, let's put endels so we can, well, in this case, I don't want an endel because I want it on the same line, okay? So let's put an endel after each guy so we can actually see the, I'm going to actually put 2 so it looks a little nicer, and then I'll replace this. Put this after each guy so our output looks a little bit clearer. So that's just going to put 2 new lines. Let's run it again. And what was the first one? 6 and 7. Okay. So let's take a look at why we got the output. Does this match what you all had? So if 6 is less than 7, we all see why the good is printed. I'm right here. I'm right here. If 6 is less than 7, we all see why the good is printed. Why is the by printed if 6 is less than 7? Well, okay, go ahead. You want to explain, Brianna? There's no compound statement. But in this case, we sort of guessed that. So the good and the by probably everybody got. And then in this case, so would you agree that this set of code, let me highlight it, is really equivalent to this set of code? It doesn't matter how I indent it. White space does not affect the way it runs. And then in this case, if 6 is less than 7, of course, we're going to get good by. So this was the easier one to guess what the output is. So let's try it for the next case for 7 and 6 and see if what everybody got. So take 1 minute if you haven't done this, and go ahead and fill out the output for 28 through 30. So everybody try to take a guess first. It's up there with your name. So everybody try to take a guess of what the output is for, somebody took mine, for 28 through 30. And then we'll run it, and we'll talk about why. Because this is the easy one, the next one's a little harder, isn't it? Those were all goodbye. That's easy. So try the next one. Try the next one, because the next one's a tricky one. I want everybody to look at it a second and see if you can guess what the results are. So if 6, 7, and 6, so these are all going to fail the if test. So write down what you think the answers are going to be, and it's useful if you try it first. You know, just watching you do it is not effective. So take a second, try to do number 28. It fails the test. So what is output for the first one? Let's do this. Let's put 28 next to this so we can clearly see what we're doing here. Okay, try to take a guess, and then I'm going to run it. What's that? Well, the condition fails, so it doesn't do the first cout, but it will do the second cout. Let's run it. Okay. So for the first guy, we got by. So why did we get by for the first one? But Brianna, can you say that again? Because you said it before. So say it for this one. By is going to always show up because I don't have brackets. So 28 and 29 are actually exactly the same thing. White space does not matter to the compiler. 28 and 29. Do you understand, Brandon? Okay, because 6 less than, we entered 7 and 6. So it fails the if. So the good is only going to get done if the condition is true, like it did in the other case. So if 6 is less than 7, the condition is true. So this is, if this, do the statement following. if it's true. Okay, but this is 7 and 6. For the one before, it was 6 was less than 7. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this is 7 less than 6. So the test fails. Okay? The test fails, so it does not print good. Does everybody get why it doesn't print good? Yeah, that we get. Okay? So it prints by, though, because that cout by is not part of the if statement. Okay? The only way that I can make both these statements go with the if is if I use the compound statement. Does everybody ask me if you don't get it? Don't be afraid to ask, because I'm sure there's people who aren't getting it. Yes, Ben. For 28 and 29, it's only by. Okay, I'm glad you're asking me. Okay, so let's do this. Let's just take 20. Basically, let's start with just 1, okay? So you understand. Okay, now everybody listen, because I'm sure he's asking the question for many. The way the if works is it looks at the condition following. If the condition is true, it does one statement following it. Right? Only one statement. Even though I have this guy indented, it's not really part of the if. It's really here. Remember the rule for the if? What was the rule for the if? If, remember how I went blah, blah, blah? It's if, condition, what can come here? Single statement, compound statement, which we'll get to in a second, or a null statement. Remember we said that, actually this is another one I should try. So if I had a semicolon here, we could run that and I could ask you what the output would be for that too. But let's finish with this one, okay? So the bottom line is, only one statement is allowed after the if. If you want to have more than one, what do you have to do, Ben? I have to put brackets. So how I indent this is just tricky to you. It's not working, though. It does not affect the compiler at all. I'm kind of tricking you to see if you think that it's part of the if, but it's not. Okay? So this guy right here is exactly the same as 29 because all I did was get rid of the white space. Those two statements are exactly equivalent. Those two sets of lines are exactly equivalent. Does that make sense? Okay. So then if I want, then the last guy, 30, I did use braces. And in that case, we had no output because this guy failed. Because the test failed, nothing was output for the last one. That's why I had no output for 30. Does everybody understand why I got 28, 29, and 30? 28 and 29 are equivalent. Only one statement is executed after the if. Okay? If I want more than one statement to be executed, I must use the curly braces, and we call that scenario a compound statement. And anytime I use a compound statement, which won't just be for ifs, anytime I use a compound statement, I use the curly braces scenario. And I use the indentation. You're getting all that deal. So basically, what a compound statement does is allows multiple statements to occur where only one is allowed. And I could have 100 statements, okay? Or I could only have one. Brandon? Yes. Yeah, so in other words, okay, we have a couple of different, okay, let's see. Let's do just the absolute simple thing here. Okay, so just look at these guys, okay? If we enter 6 and 7, what is output? Good. Does everybody see that good would be output? Because it's true, so it outputs good. If we enter 7 and 7, what is output? Nothing. Good. Okay, nothing. Okay? If we enter 7 and 6, what is output? Nothing. So if the test fails, nothing is output. In this, forget let's just actually get rid of these, okay? With this code, if I enter 6 and 7, good is output. If I enter 7 and 6, nothing is output. If I enter 7 and 7, nothing is output. Do you get that? Okay. Okay, now if actually that might be a good way to try this, okay? So if I get the buyback, when is this statement executed? Always. Good, always. Does everybody see why? Because it's not part of the if. Yeah, well, kind of, but the space is just there for me to make it clear. If I did this, it's still part of the if. The rule is, if condition 1 statement. Doesn't matter where the heck I put it. I could put it up here. It's the same thing. I mean, we do it that way because it looks nicer. But it's if condition single statement. Okay? Doesn't matter where I put it. So the buy is printed when? In this example? Always. Good. Okay? Let's repeat the question. The buy is printed when? Okay, so do you see? Okay? Okay, so that would be, so when we have the test next week, you know, a lot of it's going to be writing code. But some of it will also be some of these traces where I expect you to understand the nuances of the language. Things like this. Understand these types of scenarios. So this is an example from the practice test, actually. This page is an example from the practice test.